2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions. Only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Perfect. That's right. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. That's right. We're not experts at football, but we are expert football fans. And I'm here hanging out with my homeboys as usual. Cody Lashney in the house. How you doing, my man?
Tony Dunn, what's up, brother? It's another Tuesday night. Football is upon us, man. We have legit football stuff to talk about. Not a whole lot yet, but dude, we're underway. We are not far from seeing Panthers football. We're going to talk everything about this training camp, some Cam Newton disrespect, how this defense is looking. And Tony Dunn, we're going to do it with the best Panther fans on YouTube, baby. Underground West, Trill 1, 10 Tizzy, Andy Smith, Lee Trotter, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
I like that intro. A little outline of what we're doing tonight. Well, we got CK in the house as well. How you doing, man? My man.
Stuff in my face, bro.
Stuff in your face. Stuff in your face. You got to keep energized for this podcast. We're going to use up a lot of calories tonight. We're chomping at the bit to talk about Carolina Panthers football. We also got Greg, a.k.a. the Bat Daddy, the Stat Daddy. How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing great, man. And, you know, Cody, you talking about the season ramping up. You know, we're going to talk about it tonight. I've really got questions about how things are going to be. I've run a fantasy football league for about nine, maybe 10 years now. I'm not sure. And, you know, I've had people from the C3 Panthers podcast, Tony, Cody, you're on there sometime, you know, the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm going to run it, man, because it just seems pointless this year. It seems like it's going to be the year of the waiver wire. And I want to talk to you all about it tonight. But other than that, I'm happy to be here. It's awesome. C3 Panthers podcast.
Yeah. I mean, we're not doing we've had a fantasy football challenge that we've run as a podcast since the first year. I think we were doing the podcast, or the year and a half, and we've done it, I think, 7 years now, 6 or 7 years, and it's a big deal. It's 48 teams. There's 4 leagues of 12. And it's kind of complicated because you got to manually seed it at the end. So what we do is we usually take the top 3 from each of those 4 leagues, and then they advance into this super bracket. But there's so many moving parts as on a normal year that this year I decided it's going to be impossible for me to take a bunch of money, hold it. And, you know what I mean? Because people will have questions at the end. Like, what happens if a game gets postponed or, you know, whatever it may be. So, yes, that's an interesting thing that we will need to address. And I'm sure, like, DraftKings is, like, probably – maybe they're excited about it because the traditional fantasy football kind of system is at in dire straits at this moment. The daily fantasy seems like it would be more, conducive to this environment. But anyway, we've got lots to talk about tonight. We want you to be a part of the show. The number's 252-228-5098. Go ahead and smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the podcast. We're on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher. Really, you can do a couple of things to help us, right? One is if you're on YouTube, subscribe, smash that thumbs up button. If you're on iTunes, TuneIn, whatever, rate us. And the most important thing is share this podcast with a friend, right? Just like CK did. He was at a restaurant. That's a nice way of saying he's picking up his food. And the Popo came up to him. And he asked him about the Panthers. And what do you know? Maybe the Popo's listening right now. And that wouldn't surprise Greg.
Well, not surprised. They definitely wouldn't, but I mean,
because you never know who's listening on the internet.
Yeah, the man.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay, I get that now. There you go. You have to walk me through it. The best kind of jokes are the ones you have to explain. So there you go.
Or the worst jokes. The worst jokes. Yeah. All right. So now, let's talk about football. Let's talk about the Carolina Panthers that today concluded the first padded practice, right? Full pads. I saw a cool story in Cleveland where it's not like a cool story, but like I don't know, he's a rookie or something, and he like horse collared Nick Chubb. And like the whole team, like David Njoku was ready to fight. The offensive coordinator was going crazy. Stefanski had to pull the guy to the side. So this is the time, you actually see helmets and pads collide a little bit. And when it comes to the Panthers, it seemed like I heard they ran something upwards of 86 plays in the practice time. So trying to get a lot of repetition, like basically preparing for a season that's going to have a ton of snaps. That's what it seemed like to me. It's like, is Matt Rule the new Chip Kelly is my question. But here, overall, that's all I've heard. That's all. There was like very little news that came out of the training camp so far. Where are you guys thinking about it? Is this bizarro world? What is happening? We barely have anything to talk about, and this should be the only thing we're talking about.
So we have a little bit of news, but it's not really enough to even shake a stick at. Cowboys defensive end Jalen Jelks was claimed by the Panthers. He was released for the Cowboys to make room for Everson Griffin. And, there isn't, even though there's not a lot of big news, some of the clips that we've seen and some of the things that we've already been hearing from our reporters has really gotten me thinking. And I don't know if you want to play those clips now, but it kind of leads into what I'm thinking about. And if there's anything that's going to give us hope this season, I really do think it's defensive.
I'm playing the defensive clip right now. The defense isn't backing down. So the defense forced, I think, 3 fumbles today. I saw that. Right? So tell me what excites you about this defense, and I'm going to go ahead, and as soon as this clip's over, I'm going to go to the next one, which is Derek Brown, right? And the way people have been talking, Stephen Weatherly last week was just raving over this guy being the next big thing, like a beast. So this defense... It's interesting because it's been kind of our Achilles heel for the last year or two, in a way, where we're usually so excited about the Panthers defense just being a top tier year after year defense. But the last 2 years, it has not been that. And now we're excited about the defense because of the young bucks. And it's kind of it's a different style of defense maybe that we're unaccustomed to when it comes to personnel wise.
Yeah. And I want to get everyone's opinion on this, and I want to sort of play devil's advocate to myself, because I've been on this podcast talking about all the things that we're going to have to overcome this year. A brand new defensive coordinator, a brand new offensive coordinator, a brand new head coach, tons of young players on the defense and the offense. And I've said, that's a reason why we might not be such a great team. But to play devil's advocate to myself, you have a bunch of young guys who also know all the things that I just said, and they have a chip on their shoulder. We drafted all defense for the draft, and we brought in these guys that are expected to be the defensive stalwarts of the Carolina Panthers for the next decade or more. And the fact that you see Derek Brown already starting to flash in practice, that's promising. Yeah, I mean, especially like you said, Tony, a defense that could not stop the run to save their life. It's promising that you have a bunch of athletic, young, dynamic guys who are going in there saying, yeah, we have a brand new head coach, a brand new defensive coordinator, and we're all young, but we're coming in there to whoop that ass. And right now it seems like that's the mentality that they're playing and practicing with. This defense might surprise us. I really am starting to think so.
Yeah, just touching back on what you're saying, the youth of the defense is what I think is the most promising aspect of it. And Tony, you're right; it's not like the defenses we've had before. We're used to a very good defense, but it's generally a veteran defense. It's guys, it's 4 or 5 guys who have been in the league for a while that are top players of their position, and we don't have that this year. So it's going to be interesting to see if the
we just don't know them. Yeah, because they're not veterans. Right, we might have those top players, but you're right.
It's a good defense, but it's not veterans. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm saying,
and it's kind of hard to know where your source of strength is going to be. I think this is that we've been in going through the 12 steps as fans this off season, right? From change, it's because it's been such a drastic overhaul, and the icing on the cake or the source of that is Cam Newton. You know what I mean? But then Luke retired, so we've had very little to hang our hats on, hold on to something that's familiar. We've lost our binky if we're a baby or something, and even to the point that Graham Gano, right? Some people are like Graham Gano's what do you hold on to here? And the sad thing is that the one thing to hold on to is a lot of people don't like, and that's Marty Herney. Marty Herney now, going back to the draft, a lot of people were disappointed with Derek Brown, where the Panthers went with him over. Help me out.
Right?
No.
The Arizona kid.
The linebacker.
Yeah.
Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah, Simmons.
Yeah.
So there was all of this, swirling around. And one thing we know is Marty Herney, usually he nails those first round picks. So it's not surprising now that we're 4 months down the road that Derek Brown is showing you exactly why he was picked at that. And all of a sudden, and we can see that we've seen this before in 2012, 2011, our defense was freaking horrific, right?
Yeah.
And we drafted KK and Starr in that draft, and immediately that team was better.
Turned around.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the one. So you got KK. Maybe he's going to be long-term. And what I mean by that is maybe he'll play the whole season with us. But this defense is the thing to probably be watching. And one of the things that you mentioned, Cody, was that the new, the young. But, the one thing that's not new and young on that is Phil Snow, the defensive coordinator. He's actually the most seasoned dude on the whole staff. He's the most seasoned dude, period. He's like the most senior guy probably in the entire building. And I did hear an interview with the guy who calls Temple games, right? Is that he was on Pirate Radio, the radio show I go on with, and he said Phil Snow knows defense. He knows and understands football. So even though he hasn't coached in the NFL just before, that's the one thing. Maybe we can look at Phil Snow and this young group of boys, right? Maybe, and all of a sudden they're going to be playing excited with a chip on their shoulder, like you said.
If the defense is nasty, can we say it's snowing?
Yes. It's snowing in Carolina. Yes, I like it. I like that.
Carolina. If we have a great defense, that's what I'm going to say. So.
Listen, there's certainly I think you made a good point there that, after we drafted K1 Short and started to Lele, it really did change things for us to have those big, strong guys right up in the middle. Like, that matters to your defense, especially a team that, like we've said, could not stop the run to save their life. We mentioned a lot how Matt Rule turns around these programs, and it kind of takes a while. And I really do think that Phil Snow is equally a part of that, too. This is a guy that he realizes how to game plan for offenses. He's not the kind of guy that's going to be fooled twice. He does know his defense, and there's a reason why Matt Rule speaks of him so highly. So, listen, I think the Panthers have been known for their defense, especially in the NFC South. We have these high-powered offenses. Now we have Bruce Arians and Tom Brady, but the Saints have always been electric. The Falcons have always had a great offensive personnel. But, the Panthers have always been the defensive team. And I feel like we have
somebody's breaking into Greg's house. I feel
I'm used to talking over dogs, so it's like second nature.
All right, so I guess we can. How has there been so little news coming out of camp so far? Like, I feel like the reporters aren't even reporting.
World. It's just weird, man. It's just a weird situation. That's the same thing when we think about doing fantasy. I feel like that's kind of the same thing with any reporting on football right now, because it just seems superficial and almost like, why even build up something that may not even actually go the long haul? We may get in 1 month like MLB and then have something crazy happen,
Did were we talking about this? I forget, but like the Cardinals have only played. I was talking on Call of Duty. Half of these conversations I have with people, I'm talking to people on a headset that I don't know who I'm talking to. But the Cardinals, and I thought I brought this up, have only played 5 games. The St. Louis Cardinals had only played 5 games, and like the Cubs have played 19. That's how many delays and cancellations. They've had to. They're going to have to play like 10 doubleheaders. So think about that. What happens if one team has to cancel a game? Like, what does that do to the bye week? What does it do? Oh, my gosh. And I am so over it. I think I'm at this point, man, it's time to just plow on with this world.
Yeah, man, that's where I've been at, too. How about this? We're going to have baseball, basketball, hockey, college football, and professional football all going at the same time.
Does that make training camp less interesting?
I don't even follow basketball, and I'm already hearing about Damian Lillard putting up crazy amount of points. Like, yeah, I do think that there is a different dynamic now that the NBA is doing their bubble thing right now. But also, look, let's be real, man. Other than Christian McCaffrey, there's not a lot of name power to this Panthers football team. But there is no more Cam Newton. There's no more Greg Olsen. There's no more Luke Kuechly. The biggest news that we're hearing is or that we're waiting to hear is, how does K1 Short look? Does he look?
By the way, he was given time off from practice. He was late to practice. Him and another senior player, Mike Davis, who is a running back that we got last year at the end of the year. You remember we picked him up and then he never played? Everybody was so kind of like, oh, we're bringing in this guy to take away to give Christian McCaffrey a break, and then he had one run. Him and Bonifant both just had one run each, I felt like. But these guys were allowed to take their kids to their first day of school because Matt Rule says being a dad is the most important job. And also, did you see Matt Rule tackle the dummy? And he did. Did you guys see this?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah, he's out there doing the defensive end drills.
He didn't look good.
No.
He laid out for that dummy. Like, he went all after it, but like he was slow to get up. I mean, not like slow, but it was like I felt like you could almost hear in his head, like, why did I do that?
That was
Wish
stupid.
I wouldn't have done that. Yeah, it's kind of So I don't know, but all right.
You're
So we've got
probably
that.
At that point, just trying to ingratiate yourself with the players more than anything.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Coach doing the drill. He's doing it too. Like it's.
I guess if he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah. Right. But did you guys see Brian Burns? There is a few clips on Twitter. I probably should have grabbed them before the show, but they're showing him going through the same drills that Matt Rule did, and he looks like a terror, dude.
Yeah. I'm excited about Burns. I want Burns to be the guy that we latch on to next.
Yeah.
Is that I need somebody. I need a guy right
We
now.
need a defensive player that we are excited about.
That we love. We love his style of play, even in losses. Thomas Davis was like that, and that is that even in bad games, you always had Thomas Davis to hold on to. We need a guy like that, and if Burns can be that, what if Burns turns out to be like our Von Miller? Right? That's what I'm hoping for. That's what my expectation of him is to be. Like, that's what I need in my life. Is that too far-fetched for me to think that Brian Burns could be a Von Miller-like player in the future?
No, and you should hope that. I mean, the dude has the frame. He has everything, man. 6'5", incredibly long arms. I mean, the dude's strong. He's put on weight. Like a lot of people in our chat room have said, Lee Trotter says Burns has put on weight, which will help him. Brad Dugan says the same thing. Andy Smith says Burns is going to light someone up this year. Yeah, everyone's excited about Brian Burns, and how could you not be? I mean, part of the reason why we drafted him is the Panthers traditionally have not had a lot of speed on the edge.
Yeah.
Like, that's just something that, Mario Addison was our fastest edge rusher. That was good, but that's not top tier elite level speed rushing around the edge. So
no, we haven't had a speed rusher ever. Like a pure. I'm trying to think of. I mean, Peppers was everything. So like Peppers was right. Power, speed. He was a speed rusher in the beginning. Like, I mean, he was just untouchable. But that was so long ago too. You know what I mean? Think about that is that we've had power a lot. Justin Hardy and Charles Johnson were pretty
Justin Hardy, yeah.
Badass force, right? Man, Justin Hardy for those 2 years was just insanely good.
Greg Hardy.
Greg Hardy. Thank you. Whoever Justin Hardy is, I don't know who that is.
But why did I double down on your mistake? We both had a dual.
I know. It's been a while. That's how long he's been. I mean, think about this. Oh, did you guys see the Darius Geis released?
Yeah.
From the Washington football team now for a domestic violence incident, and he had something in college too. So it's not his first call. Now, one of the things though is that Ron Rivera wasted no time in releasing him. And I think, in some ways, that is reminiscent of the Greg Hardy discussion, right? I think he learned something from that moment. Is that, remember, he went on the commissioner's exempt list, and every week they were asking. They did not waste any time, and I really believe that's linked back to Greg Hardy. But Brian Burns, man, that's the guy, man. That's the guy that we need to just, and he was there last year, man. He had like 7 sacks last year.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he played with a broken wrist or something like that, and that caused, that was problematic. And then the coaching staff seemed to lose a little faith in him in that period. Now he has been working out over the summer with a chip on his shoulder. They've talked about how Brian Burns was making fun of that. He was in Florida and you're not allowed to be in these public parks. And he was going and training in these parks and they would get run off by a security guard and they just go to a different one.
Yeah. But by the way, on the Washington thing, isn't it a little hypocritical, though? They got rid of Darius Guys, but then they also, right after that, activated Reuben Foster. And that was the guy that the 49ers drafted. And then he got in some domestic violence crap. And then he got shipped out of.
I think Reuben Foster's stuff. And I have to go back and look at it where the girl recanted.
Charges on him, right?
Yeah.
Like she recanted and was like, "I did this." Now you don't know we don't know the ins and outs of it, but
Greg Hardy's girlfriend did the same thing.
No, she did not recant. She just signed a non-disclosure agreement.
But she also didn't show up to testify.
Right. She didn't say that it didn't happen. She just took his money and ran. Which tell us, how's he doing right now in the UFC?
He's still in the UFC. I think he won his most recent fight. But I haven't heard from him in a while. He still has a long way to go. He's not in the top of the heavyweight ranks. He's
old now. He's not going to be there, man. He's like in his 30s.
Dude, Daniel Cormier just fought and lost the decision, and he's 41 years old. The heavyweight champion's 37. Stipe Miocic's 37.
Wow. All right. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and jump into the cat calls. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's see what the fans want to talk about this week in training camp. We still have the Cam slander to get to.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Alright guys, Joey, check this out. I'm listening to the Around the NFL podcast, right? And I found out we have a veteran that just signed with us on defense. And his name is Gerald McCoy. So yeah, he's back. So he left and then came back.
Oh, did we get another one? Did we get somebody else named Gerald McCoy?
So,
oh, gosh.
yeah,
Really?
That's good for our defense to have someone that's.
Because he went to the Rams or something, didn't he?
No, we were about to talk. Yeah, we can talk about it. He went to the Cowboys. He was released because he's
That's
out
right.
for the season.
Of course, cap-wise, you would want rookie deals, but you know,
I feel like this was
we
almost
need a
from
veteran
last
on our
year,
defense,
but he said
and
came back.
Seems like we got one now. And from what I heard last year, McCoy was a pretty good leader. So.
All right, Joe, we're cutting the call off there, as guys.
Yeah, I don't know what. The only news I heard around McCoy was that he got hurt and he's out for the season. And people have been talking about how he's handled it on Twitter. And what
I
he's
was
posted.
just seeing this is that it says this Cowboys released Gerald McCoy quad with injury waiver. And the one thing is that this is the team identified McCoy as having right knee chronic quad tendonitis and related structures prior to the signing of him. So they signed him to this $13 million deal or $18.3 million deal. But there was a clause in there that if he was unable to perform or he was in that injury with his quad that they identified as like essentially a pre-existing condition, that it says this: in the event this quote, in the event this NFL player contract is terminated due to a deterioration or aggravation of the physical condition set forth in paragraph 35, but basically then the guarantee is null and void. So sucks for the Cowboys, sucks for McCoy, but they didn't have to pay for it.
Well, they'd have to pay a little bit. It's
right, a little bit, yeah.
$3 million signing bonus, but his $2.5 million base salary comes off the books, and his $750,000 roster bonus does too.
Did he do it on purpose? I would have done it on purpose and just taken $3.5 million and walked off. If you
give me $3.5 million right now to tear my quad.
I retire. I'm hanging. I'm hanging the cleats up.
Yeah, not saying I don't feel bad for him. I feel bad for him. I don't want to make it sound like I don't feel bad for him because that sucks. But for me, Tear my quad up. Sorry.
But he was really humble too. He was like, "Man, I'm not gonna sit here and complain with all the problems that people have going on in the world right now." He's like, "Dude, I'm blessed to be in the position I'm in." He handled it really well. And dude, I always like Gerald McCoy. There are some players that, like, once you know about them, yeah, they're on other football teams, but it's hard to not root for them. You know, Gerald McCoy is a good dude. He's in the Batman, dude. He's got a life-size sculpture of Batman in his house as tall as him. Okay, him and
he likes to buy snow cones for everybody. Snow cone truck.
Oh yeah, definitely agree with that. And like I said, I don't want to downplay his injury and say that it's nothing. It sucks. It really does.
But he's old. Yeah, but this was bound to happen. This is something that usually would have happened to the Panthers. Right? I'm surprised this didn't happen. You know, basically this did happen. We signed McCoy last year, and KK got hurt. Here is Joey the Blind Panther clarifying.
Actually, that last call I made, I forgot that I was listening to the NFL podcast from June 5th, 2019. Yeah, you can ice me up at the end of the show.
Nice. Yep. So, all right. So, a little clarification.
He's owning it. Yeah.
What happens when you are scrolling through podcasts and you've all caught up and it auto plays the next one? But you had something to say, Greg. Go ahead.
I forgot what I was going to say.
All right.
So you can go ahead. I forgot what I was going to say.
All right. Well, let's go to the next call. And I mean, so that's the, you know, the Cowboys, they're in this period where they're trying to figure out how to get over the hump, right? And, did you see that Kyle Love signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Hold on. Is 8-8 last year trying to get over the hump? Is it really? Like, I mean, if we were the Panthers and we went 8-8, would we say we're trying to get over the hump? I think we're a long way away from. Yeah, but on paper, they're the most talented team ever. So
I think it's because they have their quarterback, or supposedly, right? They have all the players. They have the loaded offense, the loaded defense. I don't know, man. And I feel like we never talked. Did we ever talk about the Kyle Love comments that went around? I feel like we never did.
I don't think we did. And they were something. Weren't they kind of a little Cam Slanderish?
Yeah, so basically he came out and said that, you know, he was interested to see what happens with Cam in New England, because when Cam was here, like whenever he would make mistakes or whatever, that the coaching staff wouldn't really come down on him. Like there was just kind of, you know, like they wouldn't ever really be hard on him or whatever. And they were making it seem like, or he made it seem like they didn't want to bruise his ego or hurt his confidence and get him to play worse. And then it goes on to say that he's rooting for Cam. I don't know, man. Like, it runs into that old narrative where it's like there's this set tone on Cam Newton that it doesn't like the verbiage. It can't handle criticism. I still don't know how much I believe all that, but he was on the football team. I mean, I'm not calling the man a liar. I do know that everything I've heard thus far is that everyone is impressed with the zip on Cam Newton's ball, the ball placement, how well he picks stuff up. So I don't know, man. Let me stop before they get in the chat room. Tell me to stop talking about a non-Panthers.
No, I do. I think, well, we have, you know, it begs the question. It begs the question of, was Cam a diva in the background? Or, you know, I mean, but I feel like we haven't had a lot of evidence that was the case, right? We've just had these assumptions being made because he is confident, he is cocky,
because he played a certain way.
Yeah, these types of but it's coming from a defensive player. I automatically question that, and the reason is I don't think that these meetings are generally that interwoven. So, like, are they going to dress down Cam in front of the whole team over something? I doubt that. That's usually going to happen in the offensive meeting room, you would think. We saw Cam as being what appeared to be a very extremely hard worker who continued to fall on the sword week after week. He never pointed the blame out. But you got to wonder, was there some things going on in the background that we just don't know about and that Kyle Love is alluding to? I felt a little out of nowhere. It just didn't seem like I hadn't expected Kyle Love to be the guy that says those things.
What was said? Forgive me, I was dealing with a toddler.
Kyle Love basically came out and said that the coaches, when Cam Newton would mess up, the coaches were never hard on him.
They coddled him.
And they coddled him. They didn't want to break his confidence, didn't want to hurt his ego. Yeah. And he said that it would be interesting with that dynamic, him in New England, because obviously Bill Belichick doesn't give a damn about your ego. Yeah. So, again, man, like it's a weird scenario. Like it feeds into all of the worst stereotypes on Cam, but I wasn't on the team.
Well, here's Bill Belichick. Let me see if you guys can hear this.
Weeks has been seen him on the field. Just curious.
Oh, well, if it would
just your early impressions of Cam Newton and what it's been like to coach him so far.
Yeah. Well, again, as I said,
keep playing.
We've done a lot of meetings, a lot of walkthroughs, a lot of information's been transferred to all the players, and he's worked very hard.
Keep going. Why is it auto stopping on Twitter?
We've done a lot of meetings, a lot of walkthroughs, a lot of information's been transferred to all the players, and he's worked very hard. I'd say as all of our players have. We have a hardworking group. Those guys are ready to go, and we put in some long days, and they've been very attentive throughout the process. And I'd say that certainly for all the quarterbacks at that position, those guys have been locked in, been focused, have worked extremely hard, all four of them. And when they all get in a huddle, everybody has a lot of confidence in what they're able to do and the information they have to give to the team, play calling adjustments, audibles or protection adjustments, things like that. Like that's all gone pretty well. But again, we haven't played at anywhere near the speed that we're going to be playing at, so we'll see how it all comes together at that point. But Cam's a hard-working kid. He really is.
Yeah, there's the toughest man in the NFL, and he's saying Cam's a hard. Look, I just haven't seen a lot of evidence that Cam is that problematic. Now, I did listen to, and I'm ashamed to say I have not listened to the full Cam Chronicles podcast. Because that's something that generally I would binge like as soon as it came out. But I feel like I was also trying to separate a little from Cam at this point. But I listened to the first episode, and even his dad said he was super sensitive when he was a kid. Right? So, I mean, but that's just part of Cam. Anyway, let's keep going on with Cam. Go ahead.
Well, one more thing. Listen, I kind of do think where there's smoke, there's fire. So I'm not denying that there isn't some degree of truth to it. Now, just because they chose to handle Cam that way doesn't necessarily mean that it was the right way to do it or that Cam Newton couldn't handle it. It's just that's the way they chose to do it. And by the way, that Jeff Schwartz guy, he'll go on Colin Cowherd all the time and peddle the same nonsense too. That
I fucking hate
the Panthers. The Panthers treat him delicately, and that they don't go hard on him. He said that stuff too. So, again, it's not something that I believe is true about Cam Newton. I agree with you. I think he's showing his character and how he played. But if more than one people are willing to say it, like, I don't know, man.
You have to have a conversation with yourself. Where is the truth in this conversation?
Yeah.
Where, how can we really expect there to not be any level of validity to that statement?
Right.
Because I mean, the part of it that I think a lot of people will look at is the fact that that's Kelvin Benjamin. Now Kyle Love. Kelvin Benjamin had a different gripe, certainly, but and then people's already diminished opinion of him as a football player, I think is going to make sure that this thing ignites and goes beyond. People are going to be pulling it up when somebody wants to defend Cam or whatever he's trying to do, but. I could see where maybe the coaching staff had maybe interactions with him that made them feel like they needed to coddle him, but I also don't think that it's something that Cam Newton needed. Like, I think Cam Newton would be fine in any type of a situation, and he would be able to, overcome whatever his own personal issues may be with whatever was going on. So I don't think that Kyle Love's wrong, but I don't think that it's necessarily something that was needed for Cam. I guarantee you Aaron Rodgers is coddled. I guarantee you Tom Brady is coddled. I guarantee you I can sure as hell guarantee you Drew Brees is coddled, right? So, I mean, it's not a matter of Cam Newton. It's a matter of quarterback at this point.
Yeah, and the other thing is that you probably could see Cam going every time they talked about him making a mistake, being like, bitch, there's 5 offensive linemen right there that missed their assignment, and you have me.
Right?
Like,
What do you want me to do with my entire line got obliterated?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he could be irritated about that behind this. We have been, right?
Well, 100%. And my other thing, too, is you got to look at the source. You're talking about Kelvin Benjamin and Love talking, if they're saying something bad about Cam, those guys saying something bad about Cam. I want to hear what Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis and Julius Peppers and like those guys, the guys who were stars, who mean something in the league, who are actually going to possibly be in the Hall of Fame, if not fringe players be in the Hall of Fame. I'm taking those guys' word over Kelvin Benjamin, who can't catch a cheeseburger if you threw it to him. And
that he could
Love,
catch that.
Who's a great player, but he's definitely not even close to the top 15 in his position.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on. We got to look
It
at
was
the source.
probably more Love being about maybe just knowing this is that Belichick is not that.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason they were asking him, because he played on the Patriots and the Panthers. So he knew a little bit of both worlds, and they decided to pick his brain on. By the way, shout out to Bradley Tate in our chat, dropping the $3.99 love bomb. Thanks so much, Bradley.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's
Certainly
see. See if we got some more calls here. I think this will be. Maybe I download it again. But there's really, other than that. Oh well, while we're on the Cam Newton slander, we'll play the call first. I got it right here.
Oh snap, C3, what is up? It's your boy Mike, aka Supreme Leader. Coming back.
What's up, Mike?
Love the podcast, so you know I had to come back. Not too much going on. Just waiting for this damn season to start. Just to harp on what I talked about last week, I thought about something. Thought about the Panthers possibly, and I don't know if this is in Phil Snow's book, but they could possibly run a 4-2-5, maybe with maybe Chin playing up in the box, close to the box, even if they only brought out 2 wide receivers on the other side. I think a 4-2-5 could work, and Chin could kind of serve as that linebacker / strong safety with 2 safeties in the back still, kind of watching the tight end, seeing what the run game does, because I don't know if people forgot, but we drafted Thomas Davis, and I think they, he was drafted. Was he drafted as a safety?
He played safety in college.
I can't remember.
He played safety in college.
Damn, I'm old. But you know, he was 6 foot, about 230, maybe. And look, he became one of the best linebackers we ever had. So I think a 4-2-5 could work. You know, and we have Chin, Trey Boston, and I would guess or assume that guy Burris from the Browns on the field. He's doing good in practice. So tell me what you think about the 4-2-5. I think that'll be a good plan in the future.
All right, 2 weeks in a row, 2 great calls right there, and finally, that probably gave us a little meat to discuss when it comes to actually this team and what we're trying to figure out when it comes to these defensive changes. Now, we know that they have intimated that the 4-3 is the more kind of base set that they are switching back to rather than the 3-4, right? We know that little piece of evidence. The next piece of evidence or info we got is that we really don't have a deep linebacker core in the traditional sense, right? With the retirement of Luke Kuechly, and now you've got Shaq and Tahir Whitehead, who's also one of the second oldest player on the team. Those are our kind of 2 traditional styled linebackers, right? So even if you're trying to go what they would say a 4-3, it's going to be limited, right? Because you don't have 3 linebackers that you're comfortable putting out there all the time. And that's where the part of his call, and a lot of people are excited about the Chin pick, is that he's kind of what some people suggested Shaq was or could have been. Do you remember when Shaq was covering tight ends as a rookie? Yeah. He defended Larry Fitzgerald in a pass in the NFC Championship, and there was this what we call the Buffalo nickel. So even though we're running a 4-3, I think what we're really going to be running is a 4-3, but we're in the nickel all the time. And that third linebacker is really going to be either a nickel corner or an additional safety on the field. Go ahead and expand on that, Cody, and pass the mic.
Yeah, so, our chat room has also been wanting us to mention Jeremy Chin, too. And I think Jeremy Chin fits into that well because, he kind of fit that Isaiah Simmons role that we wanted on the team when we drafted him. And that mainly means that we're going to be able to put him at nickel a lot. And he really is going to be that truest definition of that strong safety outside linebacker hybrid. Then you throw in guys like Troy Pride. I mean, we have a lot of options that we didn't have before. And that's part of the reason why you have a draft that's all defense, because now the Panthers have options, right? It was even talked about they could put Jeremy Chin at cornerback because it has the fluid hips and the speed and the burst to be able to play the position, even though we hadn't done so much. And I think that's a part of what this team is trying to build and what Matt Rule is trying to implement. These players that you're going to be able to put at different positions that can give you better looks in different formations. So we have a well-rounded roster and guys that can kind of fit in different places as need be. Greg, what do you think, man?
I mean, the thing is, thinking about a 4-2-5 offense for me, I can't see it working. Not saying that it won't, but just something in my mind tells me it won't, because I just don't see us having a strong enough linebacker core to be able to put 2 guys in the center of the field in like the second level of the 3 levels you got to defend, and being able to cover that. And I understand that there's going to be guys that drop back and drop in and play, but it feels like for the majority it's going to be 2 guys, and I don't feel like we have a strong enough linebacker core for that. Maybe Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly could have done that. I feel like that would have worked great, but I also don't know a lot about that style of defense, so I don't want to.
Well, you actually do, Greg. You do, Greg. We run this defense a lot in the background, and maybe in another way of looking at it is, while we don't have a linebacker core where we could say our 2 best players on the team or our linebackers, like we've been able to say on the defense, is that we don't have enough linebackers to play a lot, right? So we only have 2 that are any good in this case, it seems like. But what that just does is it means it's 5 defensive backs, right? So you're going to get, and we've actually run this a ton in the past, particularly after Thomas Davis left, right? So, I mean, but even if you think, do you remember how important, we've just never had a good nickel corner. We've never had a third corner who was big and fast. We've either had to go with this. What was the guy that we had? He was pretty good in 2016. We've gotten a couple of journeymen to play nickel corner. But now, what if Chin can do it?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned.
And if he can, and he's going to be able to body up tight ends. Because really what you got to be thinking about is what is the offense doing? And how does it match up against the offense? So if you're playing teams that are running 2 tight end sets, Jeremy Chin, I think, is great for that, right? Because he's going to be able to run with a tight end. The question is, what happens when he's got a matchup? Do you have to cycle somebody who's smaller, more agile in the nickel position if you're playing a team that kind of runs like a almost like a Saints offense to a certain degree?
And that kind of alludes to my thing with it there. The final point of that is we play in a division with the Saints, the Falcons, and the Bucks, who all 3 have wide receivers and tight ends that can cut you up in the middle, tear you apart all game long, cut you up in the middle. I just don't think a 4-2-5 would work with the personnel we have.
I think Chin's going to be good against tight ends, Cody. So that's where I think he's going to excel is like against a Gronk.
So you don't want a defensive end that's a pass rusher like a Julius Peppers pass. I mean, I know Julius Peppers could cover too, but he was mainly known as a pass rusher. You'd rather Jeremy Chin be a defensive type guy or a defensive coverage type guy than a pass rusher.
Yeah, I think that's where.
Well, yeah, because he would either be a strong safety or a, it's either he's a box.
Sorry. I'm confusing Chin with Gross Matos. I apologize.
Yeah.
My fault.
Yeah, okay. So, like, I think this is that's the idea is, and Cody, you can tell us this: is he fast enough when they put a speed guy on him? That's really the weakness. That's the weakness in the Buffalo nickel.
Chen ran like a 4.3 or something. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. Jeremy Chen he had a ridiculous combine. I mean, he is a physical specimen. And I've said this before, he came from a D2 college, but our coaches are banking on taking highly athletic players and molding them and teaching them and investing in them in the future. We're going to have a lot of growing pains this season just because our coaches are trying to help these new guys learn our system and what we're going to do here.
Well, I hope we don't have a system. I hope our system is tuned to our talent.
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, it'd be ridiculous if it wasn't. And that's supposed to be the point of a coaching change. Now we're supposed to have coaches that are going to be better adept at using their players in situations that benefit their strengths. So I'm hopeful for that. I've seen no reason to believe that we're not going to do that. And, I think that we are.
Thomas Davis did start out as a safety and transition to be a linebacker. It would be interesting to see. And really, that's the kind of storyline that we're ready to start to get some details or an outline to, is what is Chen going to do? How are they going to use them? This is the ultimate, the potential Achilles heel of drafting these multiple players is sometimes you don't really know how to best use them. And some people were saying that was going to be the problem with Isaiah Simmons. We should probably be following that storyline a little bit in Arizona training camp. And I'd like to see as they start to get more and more stuff when it comes to like the first line, the second line, where Chen is being utilized. If we could get some of those tidbits in training camp, that's a great thing to be trying to figure out, because you don't want that guy. And this was one of the sad things about with Shaq sitting behind these dudes is that, doesn't it suck to have a guy who's better? He's a better linebacker than the guy you're putting at safety. And what I mean by that is, it's like we just kind of need Chen on the field. Yeah. Or we're hoping that that's the case. And so how do we utilize that in a way that's an asset, not a disadvantage? And I think it's going to have to do with how offenses line up. I saw another story or reference to Joe Brady liking to run. Oh, it was about Ian Thomas and how he had said they're trying to figure out how the tight ends are all fitting into this system, because I think this is a wide receiver heavy system where they're going to be looking 3 and 4 wide receivers, less on tight ends. And the funny part about this is, as I was reading these kind of tweets fly by on Twitter, I look up at dinner on NFL Network, and the Chicago Bears have 7 tight ends on their roster right now. We don't even have a tight end, let alone enough tight ends to necessitate an entire rack. But and they have 7. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm trying to figure out what Joe Brady's offense is going to look like, and then we may learn a little bit about Jeremy Chin in that process.
CK still here?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm still here.
Yeah,
I thought you said
I
you gotta
just
interrupt us more often.
no, you're talking about things that I probably have very little input on. A lot of these guys, it's just
because we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, I feel like we don't know, and I think we're all pretty excited because we do have a lot of players that have the potential to be first round quality talent. Especially when you look at where they've been drafted and where they could have possibly been drafted. But at the same time, how many times have we run on this hamster wheel where we were just so excited about somebody and just the rails.
My friend asked me about that. He said, "Who's your training camp darling?"
Training camp darling.
That you fall in love with that nobody's going to talk about in a year. And you know who it is? It's Omar. They're forcing one down our throat. That Omar Bayless dude.
Yeah, someone in our chat mentioned him. Yeah,
I
can't even tell you what position he plays.
He plays wide receiver. He's like 6'3", 195. He's like He's the tallest wide receiver on our team.
It's even more throwaway, man. We already know who the receivers on this team are. Okay, it's DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and
but he caught two touchdowns from Teddy Bridgewater today or yesterday.
Yeah, but dude, it's training camp. That don't.
Did you see that Curtis Samuel catch? That shit was dope. I mean, he looked like almost as good as you guys tell me he was.
Hold on, Cody. You're saying training camp that don't mean shit, so I don't want to hear us talking about Teddy Bridgewater and how good he's looking in training camp. I'm just saying.
To Curtis Samuel, man, they play two very different roles on the football team. Curtis Samuel is a certified baller, and Omar Bayless is going to be fighting for snaps. Come on, does anyone disagree with me?
If he continues to kill it in training camp, if he is the top wide receiver in training camp, has 7-8 touchdowns over the next couple of weeks of however long they're doing it, is he going to be fighting for a spot, do you think? Do you really think that justifies somebody else being over him?
I mean,
this is why none of it matters. None of it matters.
Otherwise, why do you have training camp?
Dude, they might work in some packages with him. The only point I'm trying to make is that he's not taking away snaps from DJ Moore. He's not taking away snaps.
It's like the one darling that will not likely happen.
And by the way, Tony, you have made this into such a thing. Now you realize that every time Curtis Samuel does anything worth a damn this season, it's just going to be me rubbing it in your face. Man.
Every time Damiere Byrd catch it, I'm going to be, exactly. I'm going to be messaging you every Damiere Byrd highlight all season. Mike Vella with the comment of the night. All right, because it takes us to something that we've been meaning to talk about and we didn't want to talk about, but we got to talk about. He says this, is that imagine if Teddy Bridgewater got hurt and he has to wear the red number 1 jersey. Now, what the hell is this mess, this nonsense, right? Nonsense about the damn jersey. Have you seen this crap?
No.
Today, all right, so what color jerseys do quarterbacks usually wear in training camp?
Red.
Yeah. Red. Well, they don't do that in Panthers training camp. We wear green. Why? Because we want to be Temple. No. I was thinking about this. It's just like he brought all his Temple and Baylor. Aren't they both green? I'm pretty sure Temple is green. I know I think both of their colors, and the Baylor is green too.
Temple is red and white. And
okay. Green. Are they the tornado? What are they? The Temple?
I think they're.
I thought they were the Owls. Yeah. Anyway, so they're wearing this green jersey instead of a red jersey. So you're like, that's cool, man. It's like they're trying to take some of the negative stigma away from the red. It's just so loud. It's like. And then, so you're like, oh, that's cool. That was the story. What is today? Tuesday. That was the story yesterday. Today, injured people who had injuries, wore wore a red number 1 jersey. What kind of shit? What kind of shit is this?
It feels somewhat intentional.
If it's not, you're the dumbest fuckers in the world. Right?
Either that, or think about it this way: Cam Newton could have had a lot of extra jerseys, and they needed to use them.
No, come on. Are you sure? They're putting wristbands that light up when you get 6 feet within people. They can afford a new damn jersey for practice.
Yeah, but you got to make sure you turn that shit in, dude.
I hear you. Well, I wanted to ask too, with the green jerseys with Temple. This is just a shot in the dark. Do you think maybe it's because Temple's colors are red? That they had the green jersey for the
oh right.
Right, so I don't know. It may be shot in the dark. It may be. That may be why they did the green jersey for the quarterbacks, because their colors are red. I mean, I think it's red and gray, right? Red and gray and yellow, I think it's Temple, but I'm not sure.
Still, it's like that's Temple so far in the background. Like, it's so far in the rear view. The real thing is this, is how can we be this tone deaf?
He wasn't from, like, Temple wasn't the most recent one, right?
No, it was Baylor, which Baylor was green. I'm pretty sure Baylor's green.
Yeah, Baylor's green. I was like,
have a green red shirt, I guess.
Can I just throw out my 2 cents on this, man?
Look at this
very
mess.
intentional.
I'm putting it up on the YouTube. It has to be intentional.
Of course it's intentional, and let me tell you why. Listen, we have given credit to our Panthers Twitter team for a long time, okay? They know the dynamics of the Panthers fandom right now. And there's basically 2 halves. Salty motherfuckers like me that see Cam Newton dancing around in a Patriots jersey and are like, dude, am I in the upside down? Like, what the hell am I watching right now? It's so foreign to me. It feels good because I'm seeing Cam Newton play football again, doing what he loves, but at the same time, it feels like I just watched an old video of me like kissing my cousin or something. Like,
yeah.
Ugh, like what the hell is happening there, man? It doesn't feel good, and I feel that Twitter has exemplified this split in Panther Nation. So I think it's this: they're trying to push all the buttons of all the salty ass Cam Newton fans, like myself, like some of us, because now there's this thing where if you're not on Team Teddy Bridgewater, then you're not a Panthers fan, because like it or not, Teddy Bridgewater is the quarterback of the Carolina Panthers.
This is making us. This is like if we're not anti-COVID warriors, then we're Donald Trump fans, and this is not fair to me. This is unnecessary, dude. Whatever this was, if you want to do a red jersey, that's fine. But the red number 1 and. Like here, this is low-hanging fruit, but Matt Know Nothing says, well, Cam was always injured. A lot of jerseys floating around. But we know with COVID, other than, like, we don't have the same, they're not even using the same socks twice, probably, I feel like. This was strange, and to me, I don't like this. What I don't like about this is that I am ready to turn the page and believe in this new era. The Matt wrote, like, I want it to work, right? Why wouldn't I? I'm a Panthers fan. Now I'm going to cheer for Teddy Bridgewater to throw touchdowns on Sunday. I wouldn't have done that necessarily last year. But I don't know why that, like, Cam's not in the media taking shots at Carolina right now. Like, why do you have to do this? And to believe that you don't know, if you don't know that this is going to be something that we're going to talk about on this podcast.
So shallow if you don't,
then you have come in here and you are ultimately the R word that we can't say anymore.
Well, I say it freely.
Okay. Have you seen that comic who talks about it? It's so funny.
Yeah.
It almost feels like with Cody, what you're saying, you're basically saying you can either be a Teddy Bridgewater fan or a Cam Newton fan, but you can't be both.
Right. And that doesn't feel, it's not cool. They're forcing that on us, dude.
But I'm going to pull for Teddy Bridgewater, and if he does great, awesome. I'll be a Teddy Bridgewater fan.
Right.
Right now, I'm a Cam Newton fan. So when Teddy Bridgewater sells me on winning games and playing well, then I have no problem being a Teddy Bridgewater fan. I'm hoping he does that.
Sure.
I just don't like the idea. I don't like the idea of you've got to either drop liking Cam Newton and be a Teddy Bridgewater fan, or you're not a Panthers fan. That doesn't fly with me.
It doesn't fly with us, and that's one thing, because fans, we're gonna be like this, right? When you get on, when you see people on Twitter, and the first thing they go after is this discussion about Cam, or they hate on Teddy or whatever it is. I understand it. Right? Is because a fan is a fanatic. They're not meant to be rational in this. That's the cool thing about it.
They're crazy.
Is that, they're trying to be like this. It's the other entities that aren't fans, like the Carolina Panthers. And they're trying to tell us this is a business, this is a business, this is a business. But this is like putting a picture of your ex-wife up on the dartboard. I mean, and you are they're the last people that should be engaging in this. It should be okay for us. Like, how many of the people listening to the show have said, all right, enough with the Cam talk. We're tired of it. We even want to say that. And then this happens.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to address real quick to people who want. So the best analogy I have for what's going on is going to take it to some political place. It's not my viewpoint, but when Obama did something, Republicans hated it, right? Mm-hmm. But when Trump did identical stuff, they loved it, and vice versa. Trump doing something, Democrats hate it, but they loved it when Obama did it. It's just incredible to see that. So we do the same thing with Cam Newton. We loved Cam Newton, and we told people, well, he's your quarterback. If you're not a Panthers fan, then go ahead and be a fan somewhere else. Well, now we have that same – there is no middle ground, and we haven't found a way to be able to marry our mindset to be in the middle, which is okay. We don't have to always be 100% behind somebody, but I think it's fair enough.
You can hate your ex-wife. Like, you can it's okay to not be like, you don't have to you can be angry about something.
Yeah, but I mean, when you go and do the exact same thing you were complaining about other Panthers fans for doing to you, you're just creating this vicious cycle. I think we've got to accept Teddy Bridgewater. We've got to still be able to look back and understand we had a great decade of Cam Newton, essentially. And yes, we would have liked to see that turn into 2 decades. I would have liked to see my son be a teenager and Cam Newton still be a Panther. But it wasn't going to happen. I mean, it's just not. It wasn't in the cards, and just to dwell on that's really tough because it's just going to make you fall back into this emotional.
But we're trying to get there. We are trying to get there, CK, and they do this to us.
Oh, trust me. That's what I'm saying. Like when we're trying to move on, there's these things that draw us right back into that exact same mindset of, man, why don't we have him in there? Why are you throwing these rocks at him essentially from afar because of the red number 1 and all that stuff? I mean, all that stuff I think is easy to look into. And if they didn't realize, if there was truly, if Matt,
there's no way they didn't realize this. If that's the case, I disagree that this person is fit for the job. If you're talking about Biden's mental aptitude, and then you're going to tell me that Matt Rule is the most fit person here. I could have walked out there. Anybody, we walk out there, we go, what the fuck is Cam Newton doing over there?
Exactly. And by the way, go ahead.
Sorry, before I do you think Matt Rule has the decision-making on what jersey is worn by the injured player? I don't think it's Matt Rule.
Oh,
I don't think that's Matt Rule.
Well, who does? Well, whoever that dude is has got to be fired. In the cancel culture, I'm ready. And actually, you know what? This is what I'm demanding right now. I'm demanding an apology by the Carolina Panthers. Right? This is something. What they have done is they have made a social faux pas. Right? That's what they've done. They have done something to the equivalent of where you got to come out there and you say, you know what, I didn't mean this, what I said about women and routes. Right. That's what this is that, okay, if this is a mistake, we need a sacrificial firing.
Right.
I want to see the trainer that handed him the jersey. I want to see that person trot it out and apologize to me for this mess.
Dude, you have a better chance of finding the clean side of a turd, man. Don't even don't even worry. Like, it's not going to happen.
If I would have said the R word, there would have been a potential next week. I would have had to come out here and say, I apologize. I don't believe that that's a word we use, this and that, air and this, blah, blah, blah. The Panthers they need their mea culpa right here. And you're trying to tell me that if Matt Rule looked over there and all everybody does ask him about Cam Newton, and he's so tired of saying Teddy's our guy, Cam, which one is that? Why? He's like, what the fuck is the number 1 jersey doing out here?
It doesn't mean anything to him. They're actively trying to show people how little they care about Cam Newton now because it's not their problem. He's not a player that's on the football team. And yeah, that's what's so okay. I'm
about to stop being a fan of this team. This is wrong.
That shows you how little they care about the fan base. Just saying.
Right. So that's what's so infuriating. That they're alienating over half of their fan base. The people that buy tickets, merchandise, have supported the team forever. You're alienating a large portion of your fan base and trying to sell us on this player. And dude, I swear to God, it's nothing against Teddy Bridgewater as the man or the player, but you're trying to sell it. Not only are you trying to have us erase Cam Newton, but you're actively trying to sell us what we feel is a false bill of goods in Teddy Bridgewater. Like, there is no faith right now in Teddy Bridgewater, especially behind this offensive line, especially while Russell Okung's season is up in the air. So we have no idea what kind of protection Teddy Bridgewater is supposed to have. And we're supposed to just jump on board that this is the future of the Carolina Panthers while also trying to retroactively erase Cam Newton. Like, it's so tone deaf. It's so completely tone deaf. It's the wrong way to go about it. But it doesn't matter, man. We're going to be mad about this. They're going to continue to do more shit that pisses us off. They don't care.
This is just unnecessary. They're doing it on purpose, though. You cannot tell. And like you said, they're trying to actually now make more of a statement. That's where I'm getting irritated about this, is because people were told us that we were so sensitive. That we're all this and that, and because we were upset about Cam. People have telling us, and look, like Panthers got FSU in here saying Panthers are number 1, and I say it all the time, meaning they're number 1 in my, it's all this, is that like, oh, like it's part of the business, this and that, you shouldn't be this upset, Cam, and this. No, we were mortified. It was like the hardest news that we've ever had. And then, we were all up in our feels. And right when we're starting to get over it, these dick faces are just pulling out the Teddy Bridgewater pick and making us look at it. And then look at this. And on top of that, no matter how, I got this other picture up that we've been arguing about on Twitter, is that a story comes out on catcrave.com and it says headline. And I look at it, because I'm getting my Google News. I swipe over. I'm just scrolling through it and see this. Matt Rule says Teddy Bridgewater built Panthers playbook in Madden. So I open this up, and in the story itself, it's like how he showed Will Greer and P.J. Williams, or is it Williams or Walker? Walker. How to do this, and so he designed the playbook for the Panthers, which now I'm calling on someone to hack Teddy Bridgewater's EA Sports account, and so we could get an inside look at this Joe Brady freaking offense. But
why? Wait a minute, did Joe Brady or Teddy Bridgewater build the playbook?
I want to ask. Yes, that's what I want to know.
Well, he copied the playbook that Joe Brady built into Madden so he can play with it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
So he's using.
That makes more sense.
Joe Brady built our offense. Teddy Bridgewater got the book and has been studying it, and he built that playbook in Madden so that teammates can go over specific plays.
Like they could actually.
Oh, that's a smart idea, but I really hope they're disconnected from the internet.
Yeah, that is a good point, because you think you hate Cam Newton. Wait till you meet cheating ass Bill Belichick when he steals that playbook. Dude, he's like playing Teddy Bridgewater all day. Bill Belichick is like all of a sudden the best Madden player. But he's been playing that Teddy Bridgewater. He secretly catfished him and got him to play online with him. But here on top of this, guys, so I'm looking at this story, then I look at this damn picture that loads up.
Yeah. Andy Smith in our chat says, why does Teddy look like a man-child in that pic?
Yes, this picture is epic. So somehow
he looked like, what you talking about, Willis?
Yeah, somehow there is a picture of Teddy Bridgewater and Cam Newton playing PlayStation together. And this guy is able to find it and attach it for his photo, which I would have done the same thing. You know, like, this is perfect. But we cannot get away from. I was like, I'm sitting there looking at him like, that's Cam.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think it was at first. Just because I'm not used to seeing him with the short hair anymore.
Right. This is from like 2012.
I do like Cam like that, though. I like that cut, like that
clean Cam
look that Cam had. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was clean. Yeah. But hey, that's kind of a segue into something that I thought it might be interesting for us to kind of discuss. On YouTube, the NFL channel put out a video, and this is by NFL Digital Media's Sean Shope. And he went on to predict his assessment for every team's ceiling and floor for this season. And he would go on to give a prediction for every football team. This is on the NFL YouTube if you want to look it up. He has the Carolina Panthers at 3-13 this year, with our only wins coming week 8 against Atlanta, week 10 against Tampa Bay, and the last game of the season against and week 16 against Washington.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, float that to you guys. Is that reasonable? Is that too low? What do you think?
I think it's too low, but I also can see it being reasonable. So I'm going to ride the fence on this one, guys.
I'm right there with you, CK. I know I bet on 6 wins just because it was a good bet, but I don't know if I see us getting past 5 or 6, or I definitely see us getting past 6. 3 is a little low for me, and the 3 that he picked, Atlanta and Tampa Bay, aren't people picking Tampa Bay for the Super Bowl this year?
Atlanta, Tampa Bay, and Washington are the only.
I mean, Washington I could see. You know, revenge game, Ron Rivera, and they suck. So they can't even pick a good name. But Atlanta and Tampa Bay, I don't know. Like, if you're going to play those two, I just don't see those two being the games. Even though I have to go back and look at the games I picked earlier. I wrote them down. We picked some games earlier, but
that was about where I had us. And again, I'm not being a pet. This is not about a quarterback in the draft as much as people want to say it is. This is, and I've said this openly, and I'm waiting for someone to tell me something that makes me feel better about it. I have zero faith in the turnaround that we experienced in our offensive line. And by the way, this is another bit of news that we didn't mention. Russell Okung left practice one of these days ago, and no one knew why. Coaches didn't say why. No one knew anything. Russell Okung leaves practice. So now here we are again. We have another question mark at left tackle. I feel like everyone is going to realize how much they miss Cam Newton's ability to extend the play once they see what happens when Teddy Bridgewater is under almost instant pressure. I have no faith in this offensive line until I see a reasonable offensive line that can pass protect. Christian, he'll make magic no matter what, right? But pass protection for Teddy, dude, that's a whole other thing.
Well, we talked about it, last year, the entire season last year, about how, Cam Newton's ability to extend plays. We saw it for an entire season, really, last year when we were watching Kyle Allen just continue to take hit after hit after hit. So, yes, he was not a great quarterback, but also there was a lot of unfortunate inconsistencies in our offensive line play to where he was getting hit more than he should have. Again, strip sacked and fumbles and all that stuff. It's been I don't think it's something that we can wait to see Teddy Bridgewater. We've seen it, so I agree. I think we are going to miss that, but I also am hopeful that our organization is going to be able to put together a game plan that keeps Teddy Bridgewater on his feet, and we'll see.
All right. We got one more call. Let's get through it and let's see what they got to say, and then we'll go from there.
What's good, C3? 252 in the house.
What up, my man?
Jones calling in from Rocky
252. I know that.
Had a couple comments on defense. I agree with the caller earlier about the 4-2-5. Just depend on a couple things. So, believe you put Derrick Brown, Brian Burns on the same side. That's easily 3 blocks. So it's going to come down to KK and the weak side and a lot of one-on-ones. So I think KK is due for a good year. He hasn't had a running mate since Star. So when Derrick Brown, we get a younger version of somebody that can play like Star while him still being explosive and still having pass rush skills too. Linebackers, you got Shaq and Tahir. That's cool. And the part's going to come in where I know everybody's talking about Jeremy Chin. The one nobody's talking about is Kenny Robinson. You go back to his sophomore West Virginia tape. He plays another year, same system, same numbers. He's probably a second-round pick. We got him in the 4th. Definitely a steal. So I think you play 3 safeties on the field. Kenny Robinson, put Trey Boston at strong safety. And then this year's a wash, so you just put Jeremy Chin in some rover, joker role and see how he responds to the field, whether he has more instincts inside the box or whether he can play outside of it. So, and then your outside corners, Dante Jackson and even Eli Apple or Troy Pride, as long as they can be serviceable. But I believe the 4-2-5 will work in that situation. It's just going to come down to, like I said, KK and that weak side end beating a lot of one-on-one blocks. Keep pounding.
Ah, good call right there. Way to end with some football talk, right? And instead of us just kind of moaning and groaning about, I feel like who was that singer you were talking about before the show?
Billie Eilish?
Yeah, like we're just like the emo Panthers podcast right now for so long. Like we're ready to not be sad.
Yes. Vibes,
all right, so yeah, so youth on defense, we're excited about that. We're excited about the youth of the team, so we're excited about that, and I guess we're excited to have real football ahead of us, and hopefully we do. What's the latest on Justin? You know, Justin Fields is pushing hard to have football played. What was it, the Big Ten? Who is he pushing for? Is that Big Ten?
Yeah, Big Ten.
The SEC is going forward with football anyway, aren't they?
And you were talking about this last week, right? With the idea of look at what happened to who's the guy? Joe Burrow in his final season. So
yeah. Well, I mean, that was the comparison. I mean, look what one season did for Joe Burrow. He was like a 5th or 6th round pick, played himself into the number 1 pick in the draft. Recently, one of the tackles for Michigan just opted out. He's going to prepare for the draft. Yeah, Justin Fields has been going really – I don't blame him, man. I mean, he's not going to be able to transfer again. So it doesn't look like the Big Ten's going to play football, though. I don't think they care. It sucks, man, because a big portion of this season, and it was going to kind of be like a throwback to when Peyton Manning was drafted. Obviously, we know now that Ryan Leaf was a major bust. But this year was supposed to be 2 transcendent quarterbacks that are going to be playing their final season of football. Who's going to look better? Who's going to secure the number 1 pick? And now it's looking like we're only really going to see Trevor Lawrence do that. Yeah. What was the caller's question specifically, though?
No, I think he was just commenting on the 4-2-5 and how that could work for this defense going forward.
Right.
So we were just kind of recapping the things that we are trying to be positive about going forward. I want to hear more about this Joe Brady offense. So looking forward into next week and some different things is I want to learn. How are we going to learn in this? And I hate to say this new world. I'm about had a shit fit when somebody said that. I was like, no, it's not a new world. I'm living in the same damn world I lived in 8 months ago. Like, let's stop with this weird talk. I've become like the opposite of liberal Tony when it comes to COVID. Like, I'm ready. So anyway, I'm ready I don't even know how to gauge what the football team's going to look like. I don't have anything right now. I kind of, I started talking sports so much because I got sick of politics. Like, not sick of politics, but I was so infuriated by having conversations. So with that, so I'm used to that being a part of my life that is always turbulent, right? The Panthers have not been turbulent for me. They've been just something like it was so easy for me, so comfortable to cheer for them. Now, I don't even know how to watch training camp. I need to know. Now we got to figure out how to watch preseason. I'm ready to see this Panthers team, and I'm glad it's going to be a different one because I would expect for it to be nothing less than completely different this year. So,
absolutely. I think that also might contribute to the lack of excitement. Also, the fact that essentially there are no tickets available until somebody else decides they don't want to go to a Panthers game, and you get to buy it off the open market, which is probably going to be 3 times the price.
And can you go to a game right now, CK?
You because right now they've announced
3
half capacity.
Right, but I don't think that it's legal in North Carolina to have that.
I don't think it's illegal in North Carolina. There's no look.
Since we're in phase 2, do we not have to be in phase 3? I think we got to be in phase 3 to have major gatherings like concerts. This would be in the neighborhood of a concert.
Here's my question then. I mean, outside of all that, yeah, obviously, there's a lot of speculation about them having no fans in the stadium. Obviously, I think that would be a mistake. I think the fans are a big part of it all. Same thing with it's really weird watching NBA. But what do you guys think about the idea? And it's something that's been floated out there for a while now, for at least the last 5 years, of virtual reality attendance. Now,
I'm so ready for this.
Oh, hey, let me ring in whenever you're done. Go.
Yeah.
No, so I'm just ready for it.
The idea is that you can let me, you, Cody, Greg, we can all be sitting on a bench, right, with the players, look and actually interact with our own emojis or whatever you want to call them, our own avatars, I guess is the better word, and actually be in the stadium and see everything in real time, look around, see, the empty stands and all that. Would you be willing to accept a scenario where you can't go to a Panthers game, but you pay $10 to watch a game that way?
Yes, without doubt. I want to be, and the only thing is, I have one condition. Not one condition, is I want to watch the game through the eyes of the quarterback.
Yes, I can't wait till they put cameras.
They just put the GoPro right embedded into the helmet, and we could change from so we could sit on the 45-yard line midfield for a little while. If we wanted a little time, we could go into the huddle.
Yeah,
we can.
That's what they talked about. Well, you wouldn't be able to do all of those crazy unless it's a major delay, because then there's a risk of information theft, being able to know the gameplay that's going to be called and stuff. And that's where the risk, I think, would be of having the quarterback being able to look down at his armband and you're seeing exactly what the quarterback sees.
But what if you couldn't see it until the play actually started, right?
Look, can I tell y'all?
And then the last thing I did. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I watched games in VR last year in the NBA playoffs. It is fucking awesome.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I have an Oculus Drift. Okay, so I put that on and I put headphones in, and literally I can't feel or see anything else around me. It's just that world. And watching NBA playoff games in that fashion, because you can watch it from the press box, you can watch it from the luxury box, you can watch it from 4 or 5 different places in the stands, you can watch it from the referee point of view, where you're right in front of the scorer's table, and yes, you can hear the teams on the side of you talking while you do it. because I did.
Do you get motion sickness and all? Because I get the 3D when I'm like at the parks, right? Like in Virginia, my kids, we go to the Busch Gardens and stuff, and you get in those. Now the chairs are doing this, and they're I'll start sweating, and I'm ready for it to be over. That's my only concern. But yes, I would pay $10 in a heartbeat. I would rather do that than actually go.
Easy. $20 easy to see a Panthers game from the sideline, from the 50-yard line, lower level, press box. Easy. I'd probably pay $50 for that, to be truly honest with you.
Don't give them ideas, Greg. Don't give them ideas. Yeah.
And that was last year. The technology got better.
You've got to think about it from this perspective, guys, too. And Cody, I'll let you hop in here in just a second. I'll say this. It makes a lot of sense for them to do that, because if they can sell one seat for $10 to 10,000 people, they've taken away one seat and lost maybe $1,000 to $2,000 off of that one seat if it's front row, and you've turned it into hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, you could still sell that seat too. One day you could say, even in this world, is that like, I might not be able to afford to go to Charlotte for the weekend, but I can afford to buy a $20 pay-per-view ticket, essentially.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I mean by that. But here's your question about the motion sickness. If you're doing it from a point of view situation, if you're going to be doing it from a referee's hat where you're going to see him running, yes, you're going to absolutely get motion sickness.
I'm going to have to get the Dramamine. I'll take a Dramamine.
But if you're doing the sitting on the bench and watching it, if you can have like a fan blowing air on you to make it feel like you're actually there rather than your mind being tricked into believing you're there, but your body not feeling that way, that's where a lot of people really have trouble. Like if you go to Dave & Buster there in Charlotte, and actually do their Jurassic Park, they have the mist, they have the air. You feel like you're outside the way they have it made. And I did not get motion sickness at all. You switch it over to their Men in Black. Oh my gosh, it was bad. It was so bad. And so it's just a matter of being able to, if you can do I like the idea of sitting on the bench next to your favorite player, like sitting next to Christian McCaffrey, being able to sit on the bench, look over at him, and then just like almost feel like you're right there and able to talk to him. Right. That would be insane.
Yeah, they would have to have multiple camera views, like, because that would make it more fun. But you would have the fan view, like you said, and you're going to give us the best seat. The one thing I hope they don't do is when they do the VR shit, is that they don't fuck it up and be too greedy. And that is like, you got to pay, like, here, we'll let you sit in the upper deck for this one. But if you want, it should just be one grand ass. Like, I want them to do basically the idea is mass production, is instead of trying to make as much as you can today, let's just try to get more numbers of people watching. $10, $20, make it affordable.
If you can sell one seat, like let's say
it's kind of like the NFL package for DirecTV. What if you just bought it for the season for $320?
I would pay that in a heartbeat if I could do it from that VR and actually know that I would be able to, like, 100%. It would be, I would spend that in a heartbeat over top of the NBA. And the funny thing is, here's to be able to just switch over to a different game and be in a different stadium all of a sudden. Like,
that would be dope. What if it wasn't just the Panthers, like the NFL VR package?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So, Red Zone. What if you just did the Red Zone in VR, where it was like every 2 seconds you were in a different stadium? You're looking over different fans beside you.
So first, let me start by saying this: I've used VR before. If you don't know, I'm in a wheelchair. Okay, surprise, surprise. But I've had a friend put the VR headset on me before. And it's weird because he's a big guy. My friend's 6'4". So whenever he puts the headset on, you have to adjust the height to be whatever height you are. Mm-hmm. So he puts this shit on me, and I'm in a video game, moving around, looking around like I'm 6'4". Dude, I can't tell you what a mind fuck that was. I've never stood up in my life, but yeah, I'm doing it for that. Okay, now amplify that. My cripple ass in a football game, dude. I would never do anything else. Like that's the only way I would ever watch football forever. If that's the way I could, I want to be able to see Bridgewater go through his progressions, what's open on the field. Kind of see if I would be able to read blitzes and know what's coming when the audibles, and even being in the seats, dude. I would love that, man.
I'm assuming they have this technology for porn, right?
They do.
Has anybody tried it?
They've
not delved into that rabbit hole.
No, but has anybody here tried it? I have not. I mean, I don't know. I've not. I don't have any VR stuff.
I used to work at U.S. Cellular, and people would come in and tell me they've done that, and they said, like, it's a game changer for them.
There's no going back.
Here's the thing to what y'all were talking about before, though, about the pricing is I can tell you it's changed already. Last year, I watched the playoffs for free on VR because VR was coming out and still fairly new. Yeah. Now it's a little more mainstream. It's a little more everybody has it, or more people have it, and now I can't get it for free. And I guarantee you that's the way it's going to work. If they introduce VR into the NFL, it's going to be free or cheap at first. Then once VR becomes, if people can watch sports on VR become popular, once it becomes popular and everybody can access it, it'll become way more expensive.
Yeah.
Than
well,
it started
it's going to be sort of like NFL Sunday Ticket, right?
Cable TV, basically.
Yeah. NFL Sunday Ticket is super expensive. And then they add the Max, and then they add these little things that make it.
It used to not be as bad.
I think you're right on that, but I think this year is the year they need to figure it out because so many people are not going to be able to go to these games and to be able to actually still be there and the companies, these teams still be able to make a revenue off of it outside of just NFL Sunday Ticket. I think that's so important right now. And if they have not began working towards being able to do that, they are missing out on an opportunity to not have this just destroy the NFL's, budget sheet next year.
Well, but do we know what we're going to do yet? Because I know that Jerry Jones is dead set. He said he's going to have fans. He's going to have fans at AT&T Stadium.
We're notified as half capacity right now.
So they are going to let fans in BOA.
Yeah, they're going to do that, and anybody who has PSL tickets have dibs.
Right, that's what the Panthers are going to do, but is the state of North Carolina going to let them do it? I guess schools are coming back, so I was just under the impression that we had to be in phase 3. We're in phase 2 right now. Still mandatory masks, that these big gatherings. And somebody has brought up this point is, well, what if North Carolina you can't do it in Charlotte? Do you go have these games at Clemson, right? Like back in the day or something. And I did see that the Tennessee Titans announced that their home opener would not have any fans. And last, I'm now going to ice myself up for not having tried VR porn yet. So,
I mean, I haven't tried it either.
Yeah, you may have VR and haven't tried it yet.
If you really want a mind trip, look at all the peripheral accessories that go with the VR porn.
Oh gosh! My lord!
Peripheral accessories?
Oh, dude, there's.
Are you talking about Are you talking about a pocket?
I'm talking about pocket. I'm talking about.
Have you guys seen the real dolls?
Oh,
the what? The true doll, the real doll.
Real dolls.
You have to Google these mugs.
Oh yeah,
are those the robots?
They're like but they're like sex dolls, but they're like $6,000, and they they look pretty convincing. I mean, you can still tell. But
I the funny car for $6,000 screw that.
Somebody was telling me about this shit because I hadn't, I see some of this stuff pop up on like a lot of times I'll see stuff on tech blogs because they have like a tech sex thing. We're talking about VR porn.
How are we going from doing it to apple pies to doing it to $6,000 sex dolls?
So there is some sort of documentary out there. There's a documentary out there because these people are so into their real dolls, right? Like they're like important to them. And
there's a movie about
they
it.
They send them off to get refurbished, dude.
There's movies about that. No.
Yeah,
they send them off to get refurbished, Imagine if you worked in the sex doll refurbishing department where you were like, I got to change out this cum-soaked pussy for this.
You have to watch all this shame.
Damn, I had a point I wanted to make before you started going on this porn reference here. And then, no, I can't.
Sorry, y'all brought up the VR stuff.
Hey, we're about to. Hey, we just need to have. We have Greg's YouTube channel pulled up all the time. We're about to see.
Oh, I know. All right, so let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's go to. Let's just go ahead and get to the ice up picks. See, we don't really have any more football to talk about. We've been talking about VR porn for the last 5 minutes. So the number's 252-228-5098. If you didn't know it, it's on the screen in 2 different places. Rich Kendall. If you didn't know it also, Cody's in a wheelchair, Rich. Oh, he's not here tonight. Where are you, Rich? We miss you. That was so fun last night. Call in the show over the next week. We'll get your call on the podcast, 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe. Tell a friend about the show. And now it's time for us to ice some fools up. Tell them to toughen up, to get it together. I'm going to go first because mine is pretty simple. And that is the Carolina Hurricanes need to ice up. These guys, oh my gosh, they blew a 2-0 lead. Mm-hmm. Boston is a better team. Let's just go ahead and be clear about that. You just look at Boston, and they just keep coming. They keep coming. They get shots on net. But I tell you this, is that the Hurricanes, man, can go from playing some pretty good hockey to playing the worst damn hockey, and they can't clear a zone. Boston had a power play where they were in the Hurricane zone the entire 2 minutes. They didn't clear it one time. Now, it didn't result in a goal, but this is that you just can't play. They're going to get beat. And like they got beat by Boston. I hate to say that. You like the young, exciting players. But, man, when you have a power play 2 games ago, and you didn't have it in their zone the whole time, like our power play game has sucked. And our neutral ice game stinks. Carolina Hurricanes, ice up.
Well, to be fair, the game 1, the one that was delayed that we were trying to watch last week, bad officiating. Very bad officiating. Sure. And I think it did affect the game because that game went into overtime.
It's been bad officiating throughout. The Canes have not gotten any good. They have not been the beneficiaries of any calls. But they really haven't done themselves any favors either.
No.
So,
I agree.
Tough. All right, who's next?
I'll go.
All right, get them. Ice them up.
I'm simple, too. I'm icing up my computer because I came home Monday, so yesterday, about 7:30, because Monday's my late day, and my friend alerted me, my co-host from my other shows alerted me that I was streaming live on YouTube. So I have, a few other shows, and I do one live on YouTube, the Super Simple Sermons podcast, but I didn't set it up to go live. So I came in my computer room, and my computer is off, shut down, completely off. Not on my phone. I have no idea where he's hearing me from this, but he got an alert that we were live. So I turned my computer on. Everything is set up for me to have a show, and I am streaming after I turn my computer on. So I don't know what that was. Maybe I was hacked. Don't know what's going on. But my computer was off, and when I turned it on, it was completely set up to stream a show. And for 2 hours, there was a blank screen streaming of just the noise in my house. So to my computer, I say ice up because that freaked me the fuck out.
We saw the Bat Daddy roll up a Fat Daddy.
Yeah.
That's like my biggest fear in the world.
No idea. Oh, dude, it was terrible. And all I could think was, like, because, me and my wife were in my
got
room,
caught with my real doll.
Yeah. Like, all I could think was, did I say anything incriminating? Did I say anything bad? Did I say anything I don't want people to hear?
Did my wife walk through here buck naked?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. But I just, I couldn't believe it. I have no idea how it happened.
So scary.
So podcast. My computer was off. Like, it's so crazy, but to my computer,
they're watching us, man. The government, the government is watching us, and you just happen to be live streaming. I did see one of those stupid stories that you click on. There was a Zoom call in Buenos Aires like with like the town council, and some dude's banging his wife in the back, like he didn't know it, or so, like they're having sex in the background on the camera. Like he thought I don't know what they thought. It was the dumbest thing. So,
Dude,
that's scary. Put your make sure that you put, a lot of the women I work with, and my wife is one of these, they put with the work computers, they put a damn sticky note over the camera.
Oh, yeah.
Like a fear that somebody knows how to port in and be watching you without even knowing.
People do that with their laptop.
do that now.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've been half tempted while I'm sitting here working. Like I'll look at my webcam. I'm like, the light's not on, but is somebody watching me right now?
Right.
I mean, my bed is over my shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't want people to see what I do in my bed.
I mean, that sleeping shit is crazy.
Too late, Cody. It's already out there, bro.
Yeah, we've been watching the whole time. We get the popcorn ready. We've been watching Greg. Greg's been. What's he been doing? He's been smoking those half nickel cigarettes.
Dude, if that ever happens to me, I'm just gonna start an OnlyFans and just be a porn star.
Yeah, he said I'm gonna lean in at that point in time. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think this is that you already broadcast like 4 to like 10 hours a week. Why not just expand your role and go live?
A reality,
doing it.
Yeah.
Dude, what
live.
if I become the world's first cripple porn star?
I don't think you'd be the first.
Yeah, there's got to be. We're going to have.
But you could be the most popular.
I'm sure there's a bunch of them, but how many of them are stars?
That's true. You could be the most popular. I agree.
Bat Daddy.
Yeah.
I'm on
because Rich Kendall is not here to lust over your.
You got to shave off the beard and leave the porn stash, bro.
Yeah. All right.
I'm willing to do
So who's
Sadly,
next?
to boost your numbers, we'll all watch your porn. Just so
Ice
that way
up.
you can-
This is a real friend.
That's right.
Greg is willing to watch my porn. That's a friend, man.
That's right.
All right. Who's next? I'm icing you guys up. Who's next?
I'll go next, man. Just pull up my video. If
Oh shit! Which one was it?
if you will. The punter.
Oh yeah. This is fun.
yeah,
This actually, thank you. I needed a laugh.
So the Panthers have been trying out punter Joseph Charlton, and homie has not had a good past few days, as evidenced by this video,
All right,
in
we're
which
going one more time.
homeboy shanks a punt over the fucking wall, bro. Like not on the field.
It went 40 yards laterally.
Dude, I saw this, and I'm like, how do you fuck it up that bad?
Right.
Yeah.
That bad. Not even on the football field. You missed 100% of the mark. Like,
I think he hit where I used to work in Charlotte.
3 and 13 still sound crazy.
not at all, bro.
That's
Not
it.
at all.
I think this
So,
just confirms that we're not planning on going for field goals or punts. Yeah, still got Joey Sly. We've
Always
got
four down territory. That's right. Yeah.
it is
All right.
we are going for it hardcore. Either they plan on playing from behind a lot, or they are really hoping to just put their foot on people's throats as they go.
So
This is. I hope you're saying. I'm gonna read the comment in the chat, please.
what?
I was hoping to Cody read Joey the Blind Panthers
I'd
last
rather go to
comment.
Cody's House Street Pub if I was...
No, the one more. There's one more.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cody.
Sorry,
I can't-
Cody, can't watch your porn.
Sorry, Cody. I can't watch your porn. How is that? That's like the best.
But
I can listen.
I don't get it.
Joey, if you pay me a little extra, I'll narrate everything for you.
Or no.
Hey,
Code Dizzle will narrate everything.
yeah,
oh my gosh.
Joe Dizzle will
When
narrate.
Optimus Prime gets busy.
This moment, Cody laid the hammer.
Oh, I forgot this. You know what? I totally forgot this, guys. And this is a throwback, and we got to get out of here. But where's the Kindle? So I went on vacation. There's some people I went with. They hit a bookstore before they went, before they got on the plane in Key West, and the wife bought something like a good Gronking. It was one of those Gronk, like the sports sex books. You know what I'm saying? Like and I forgot. Do you guys remember I bought the Cam one?
What is it?
You guys don't remember this? I bought this. It's a sex book called Dabbing with Cam.
No, I did not know you did that, but
yeah. I ran here. I'll read you a little passage. I ran up his huge muscular back and around to his neck. His neck was as thick and as strong as a tree trunk. I felt muscles I didn't even know humans had. I slid my hands down his chest and let out a moan. You feel so good, I said. His head was laying back, his mouth open. Let me see. She calls him a man of steel in here. What else?
You didn't write this?
Yeah.
I hear a lot of hints of Tony in here.
Yeah,
dude.
I hear a lot of Tony Dunn in that.
I'm telling you, it's called Dabbing with. Oh, and look at the picture. It looks like Jason Strahan on the cover. Let me see if I can. God, it won't. Let's see if I can hold my phone up. Hold on. Can you see him?
No, you're all the way. You've taken it completely out of
the. So anyway, dabbing with Cam. Anyway, my real sex doll is going to be a Cam Newton doll.
Wow.
So yeah,
you gotta turn it over
to this Charleston guy or whatever, to the punter who can't punt onto our field. You're probably not going to make the team, so this is even worse than I'm piling on, but ice up, son.
Ice up.
All right, CK, what you got for us?
Mine just happened. I told you guys I was dealing with a toddler. Well, my toddler has, he'll be turning 4 this in the next couple of weeks. He has a bunk bed. It's not tremendously high. It's not a giant one. It's not a bunk bed. It's just a heightened one. He has like a little loft underneath it, or a little play area underneath it. Well, we've been telling him for weeks, you cannot play jump stand or anything like that. While we were doing the podcast, I heard a thump. Dude fell and almost broke his neck.
Oh,
falling off of it.
Oh no!
Luckily, he landed on his back, but he was like inches away from landing.
Luckily, he only broke his back.
No. Yeah,
dude,
God.
I was.
Yeah,
and so what I was watching Rob Snyder's comedy, stand-up comedy, and he was talking about his parents. All we remember is getting hurt and being told, "I told you so." So, see what happens? See what happens?
Don't you have the spy cam? Do you have the spy cam on your kid?
Yeah, that's how I knew what happened.
Can you? Do you have it on recording? Can you clip that for us for next week?
I've got it now. If you want me to pull it up.
Yeah, I want to see this.
You want to see
you want to see that incident? That's right.
Sorry, boys. I accidentally left. Let me get it here. Sorry about that.
Let me see if I can go. Hold on.
My sound back?
You're good.
Yeah, you're back.
All right, here we go. Just a second. Let's see if I can find it.
Let's see. I have a friend who he showed me he got caught on a nanny cam, and he's been like he likes to work late. We're both kind of night owls. We work late and stay up, drink, and he had been drinking these Red Bull and vodkas or whatever, and he fell asleep working at his computer, and he was sitting straight vertical, just sitting. And he's on the nanny cam, and he falls 100% backwards and does like his feet go tumble over his head. Like he could have killed himself like that just because he was It was like pulling a Greg podcast until his eyes can't stay open. All right, this is taking a long time.
Hold on, I got it. Here,
all right,
I'm right there. I'm right here.
He's right here.
All right, let me go fast forward here. All right, let me share it. Present now. A window.
And then I gotta change stuff on here once you do that. Oh, no, perfect. Perfecto.
All right.
Oh, there he is.
Here we go.
There he is.
This is this kid.
Not coming down the ladder the right way.
Nope.
Like, see what this kid's doing right here.
Whoa, he's like a kid in a horror movie. Like, why is he standing upside down? Okay.
Now he's just standing there all creepy and stuff. He might have that ghost in him from the ring.
See, it's funny as a parent. I try to think about what my kids do while I tell them to go to bed.
I try not to think about my kids.
My kids are older, so
right,
it's a
you
little
guys ready?
It's weird.
It's coming up here soon.
All right.
I don't know what this kid's doing right now.
Like, it looks like some sort of exorcism.
I want to be heard.
He stretched his neck. Look up.
Oh! I thought he jumped in his head. Oh my goodness!
Dad.
He's pretending to be a gorilla. Watch this. He does this whole little thing.
Oh no!
Ow!
No!
Oh!
Terrible.
So literally, Blake, ice up, son.
Ice up. Oh my goodness.
Really?
Oh,
Is that the first ice up son? Actual son?
Yeah.
Maybe Tony's ice up.
Yeah, I ice up my family all the time. Only myself more. All right, it's the C3 Panthers podcast, 252-228-5098. You can follow us on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Cody, how can they get after you?
At Cody Lack on Twitter, CODYLAC. You can talk to me about just about anything and everything you want. You can find me on the Cripple Connection podcast every Saturday at 4 p.m. Me and my buddy Jeffrey do it live on YouTube. And that's about it. Every month there's a brand new draft on drafttech.com with brand new comments for the Carolina Panthers written by yours truly.
Greg, I binged the first season of the Boys.
Oh,
again.
How happy for you.
It's so good. So good. I'm so ready for number 2. And
well, hey, you want to come on for number 2, the review?
Yes. And I want to go ahead and put this out as the music selection in this show.
Oh,
so fitting. And my favorite episode from season 1 was the one at the revival. The Christian revival, so jacked up, so many levels. There's a lot. That show is so cool. And I do suggest everybody go back and watch it again before the new one comes out. You will forget how much you forgot, or you'll remember how much you forgot. Greg, go ahead and tell us how they can find you on your mini podcast.
Dude, you can find me at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter is my personal handle. Then I'm also part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. You Google that or search for that in any podcast catcher you can find. You'll find me. I do the DC Alliance podcast on Tuesday mornings. Superhero Discussions comes out on Friday where we cover animated television shows. Super Civil Servants podcast on Friday evenings, live, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. Cody, you were on my show last week. CK, Tony, you've been on there before. Planning on having you in there in the future. We cover just about everything there. The network covers Marvel, DC, Star Wars, the Big Trinity, but my show covers just about everything else. So there's a little bit of everything in there. And then I have a show once a month called Batman You Complete Me, which comes out. The new episode comes out Thursday. If you're a Batman fan, check it out. Geekverse Network. But go check out the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. And you can find me all the time, just about every day. 7 days a week we podcast. So.
CK, I feel like you're really starting to settle into your streaming skin, right?
Yeah,
you're really doing a lot there. Yeah, it's like I feel like it's gotten its personality now. It's starting to set in.
It's touch and base, man. Disabled Gamer rated me last night, so that was cool. I was rolling with about 100 people watching there for a little bit. It's been incredible. It's been a ride. It's slowed down slightly, so just been until last night. Then we kind of had another resurgence there and just continue to push on. Right now, we're what my goal is if I can get 250 returning viewers from one week to the next, meaning if 250 people watched me last week, if I can have 250 of those same people return next week and watch for an additional 3 minutes, then I can get my supporter button where people can do $5 a month and I can give them extra benefits such as, toe picks.
Toe picks. I want those.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, but there's things that I can do. There's stickers. There's benefits. I can create a Discord and have a private Discord server for anybody who decides to do that. So I just need to get to that point. That's my next stepping stone, and then just continue to grow, man.
Hey, CK,
just give them 3 minutes of your time.
Oh, it's still on. I haven't hit 1,000 yet.
We're so like 200 people away. Right? Yeah, like 200 people away, I feel like.
Do we get to pick I forgot the stipulation. Do we get to pick what it is and where it's at?
So what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to have some approved tattoos that my wife decides is okay. Because you know how they say happy wife, happy life.
You got to get that transformer scratchy the head. That's what it just needs.
There you go. Yeah. Tramp stamp.
Yes.
If I could get an approved set of like tattoos, I would probably put up a poll and let people vote. And go from there. But yeah, no,
that's how much he loves his fans. He'd rather them like his tattoo than him.
Oh, I said a list of approved tattoos.
Okay.
To be fair,
I'm drawing one for you, buddy.
My vote is for this. Somebody was telling me they were at a Buffalo Bills game, and this guy had a tattoo, and he had a leg on his under his arm, and then he had a leg here. And his armpit was a woman's leg, and then the armpit was the bush. Sorry.
Where do we go with this show?
All right.
Crazy.
We'll see you next Tuesday.